Oh. So, I'm banned off TikTok again, which is okay because I realized that it's the universe interfering and keeping me focused on. Oh, look, I've been crying. Keeping me focused on the information I'm to bring through for the collective. And to continue to stay focused and disciplined. So I'm actually on a very super strict routine at the moment where I get up at 4:50 and I spend an hour connecting into high frequencies and vibrations and transcribing them. Also, like receiving downloads is probably a good interpretation for many people. And then I have a little bit of time where I have a coffee and replenish the sugar in my brain. So when you are coming from a place of firing different neuro pathways and using your brain in a way that we don't normally, it uses a lot of glucose. So I put sugar straight back into my brain and then I do another hour. Now, I've felt, I've heard, I've done a lot of research, thinking, understanding my own self-reflections on humanity's conditioning and the current situation on Earth. And and this one kind of actually has mind-blown me, and I need to share it before it is distorted in my mind, because our mind is super manipulative. And basically the book that I am writing at the moment is called Transcendence to the Truth. So it's high awareness on where we've actually distorted and where we continue to bring through information that isn't completely in alignment with what's actually happening on Earth. And the information that I heard this morning makes so much sense. Like, the information I received makes so much sense to me. Okay, so we often, if you're an awakened soul, if you are on the road to being a truth seeker, if you are awakening into you are not your thoughts and your conditioning, and the big rabbit hole that opens up is that that you will have at some point, probably by now, understood the agendas in the collective consciousness, understood around our current situation. And, you've got the vaccines, you've got the COVID stuff, you've got all the things. And you would have heard about the Illuminati. Now, if you haven't heard about the Illuminati, then I'm going to give you a completely different perspective. So the Illuminati were referenced in the download that I had, and as an overall idea of what we perceive the Illuminati to be. So the Illuminati are believed to be the 1% that control the conditioning and the planet. And the Illuminati are also believed to have reptilian races. So these are all words that aren't specifically used in my book. There's different wording used for these things, which is really interesting. And the main reason that that's come through is because we already have pre-perceived judgments and ideas of what these certain things are. So in the book that I'm writing, none of these terminologies are actually used, but anyone who understands these will be able to make the correlation. So the Illuminati are running the planet. Okay, the understanding of how this is happening is very distorted. So I'm like actually shaking inside. Like my whole insides are like. It's not often that happens to me. So the Illuminati, there are a lot of stories, there's stories that they basically drink the blood of fearful children, and hard to know where to start exactly. They do human sacrifice, etc., etc. So there's a lot of like really dark, evil narratives around the Illuminati, and that they are doing this to have more power and control. Now, the information that I have just received is that the Illuminati, or the reptilians that are here in human form, are much like the star seeds or change bringers, which is the words that I'm going to be using, that are here for a different agenda. So you've got agendas for separation or disconnection, and then you've got agendas for unity consciousness. And these two different agendas are for different drivers, and I'm not even going to go into that because it's just so beyond what I can share with you in this live. But the people or the races that are here in human form, that are here to create more separation, or to continue to condition the human collective with mind control, is it is interesting, because from my human understanding, I always had the belief that the certain races that are running the planet are doing all of those things. They are doing these really evil things, and they're like, they're really fucked up, right? That's kind of the stuff that I have started to believe myself, right? That that's like really fucked up shit that's going on, and I don't really want to know about it. But of course, like most people awakening, I went down the rabbit hole and realized actually what that was doing internally. So I started to feel that my specific body reaction was not one that was causing me to be in more union and love. It was actually causing me to separate within myself. And so I noticed that very early on, that was not healthy for my mental health and for my energetic vibration frequency. So I stopped going down that path of understanding all of the conspiracy theories. And I came with a very solid question of, there was a very solid message for me, was stay in your heart. Come from love, stay in your heart, come from love. And so that's what I've done. So on all of my social media platforms, I haven't addressed really any of this stuff, because I know how quickly fear is induced into the human mind. And when you induce fear, you go into separation. And that's not what the goal is for me. My goal and my agreement to be here at this point in time on this planet is to come into a space of love and oneness and unity. So it goes against what my specific agenda is, and my agenda is love. And so I stepped away from that. But having this come up, it's kind of triggered different feelings for me, but it's also given me a whole different understanding of, yes, there are people with the agenda for love, and yes, there are people here with the agenda for separation. And the ones that are here for the agenda of separation, and it makes so much sense, is everything that we have in our conditioning is mind control. right? Everything on the media, everything on the radio, everything you see on the news, our belief systems, our politics, our community, collective community belief systems, and the way we live life. The entire matrix, which is also not something that I use in this book, is a prison of the mind. We are in our own prison, and we have no concept that we can get out of it, because we are so far from our feeling of source connection that we're just walking around zombies. And anyone who's started to wake up knows this, right? Anyone can see how conditioned we are and how programmed we are and how our mind has completely manipulated us and destroyed us, and we are out of control in our thinking. And what happens is that knowing this, and it makes so much sense, right? Knowing this, why has it that not many of us, or I haven't seen anyone share this before, realize that when there is information, almost all the information in our external reality, and even religions and different spiritual belief systems, has been infiltrated with lies and untruths. Fear. Spirituality and religion is all infiltrated with fear, which is why I don't call myself religious, or I don't have a spiritual belief. I don't have any I don't have any connection to any dogmas, because even if the truth is in there, the truth is wrapped up in lies. So if you've got truth and lies mixed in all of your external, then of course all the stories and the narratives of the Illuminati and all the conspiracy is just more control and conditioning, right? You tell humans that are awakening into love that there are people on this planet that are eating children and sacrificing children to drink their blood to become more powerful. What do you think that's going to create inside of the mind of somebody who's trying to come from love, peace, connection? That is resistance, contraction, anger, right? It's intentional. It's an intentional narrative that has been put into our thinking, so that we come away from our heart, so that we want to fight against. That's why I haven't been to one protest, because I understand that, but I haven't seen it to this degree of conditioning. All of these stories are only here to induce more fear, to induce more of your own internal resistance to your external reality, rather than coming into what's actually true. Whether or not these stories or narratives are even real, I have no fucking clue, but from what I've just received and from what that feels true for me, I was like, holy shit, how could I not have seen that before? Which happens a lot when you go on this path. You're like, oh, what you see you can't unsee. You can't close your eyes once they're open. But it's like, I had to share it. I had to jump on here and I had to share it. And I understand at this point on my journey that I'm going to look like a fruitcake. I understand that many minds are not going to be able to receive the information I have to share. I understand that I'm going to be called crazy. I understand that I am questioning my own mind, which is what has been a bit of my journey in the last 24 hours of, how do I know my mind's not manipulating all of this information? How do I know what I'm receiving is actually truth? And my mind's running away with stories of maybe you have lost the plot. You know how the mind is so clever and tricky. Like, maybe you really do need to go to a D ward, right? So I'm glad that I can question that, because it means that I am not crazy, and it means that I'm also coming into a place of feeling it. I will never, ever believe that my interpretation or perception of life is correct, because I have to I know that how I understand the mind. And so for me, it's always, okay, I lie to myself all the time. Like I do. And I'm so open and willing to see that. But what I do know is that my heart doesn't lie. So it's just constantly choosing this space here, constantly reconnecting, constantly aligning, constantly doing whatever it is for you to come into that space of love, to come into that source connection, to be that vessel. And then you know when your mind is telling you stories. It's very quick. The more time you spend here in your center, the quicker it is that you realize you have disconnected. You feel it straight away. So I guess the overall intention of sharing this is to come into a space of realization and understanding that anything in your outside world is a form of conditioning, mind control, manipulation. It's also a projection of your internal mind. So depending on how you perceive your world will depend on how you interpret it from your internal mind. But if you can get to that concept of understanding just from the mind, then you can start to choose from your heart. So, I'm going to have a little look at some of these comments now. It's so good, actually, when I do these lives. So I'm currently banned off TikTok. I can't post, but apparently I can do lives, which is awesome. So it's cool, because lives I get to actually express from a whole different space as well. A lot more information, as you can understand and perceive. Okay, what have we got? Hard to know. Do I have a brain injury? We all do. We all have. What do you call that? Brain damage. Every single one of us. Well, I'm sure there are some enlightened, conscious, unified minds. I'm not quite there, but that is the goal. So where did this information come from? I'm unsure of the information specifically that you're talking about, whether or not you're talking about the Illuminati information, which you can just Google. But do you really want to, is the question. And if you are going to go and do the research into things like that, be aware of what I've just shared about your mind and your heart and what's designed. The matrix is to keep people in separate thinking. The matrix is to keep people in the illusion. The matrix is to keep people controlled. So if you understand that is the matrix, and as soon as you jump on Google to find information, you're playing into the matrix. Love is... Actually, I had this beautiful journey once where the Beatles song came in. Love is all you need. And I sung that for like a week. Like, that was the only lyrics. All you need is love. Do 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 do. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Cannot sing. All right. there's never a point to the million of words you jumble together. I find it hilarious that people follow me and actually don't resonate. Like, I can't remember that point ever in my journey. Like, I don't remember ever in my journey filling my mind with people that I didn't like. Like, I remember at a point in my journey where I would watch certain people and there would be this jealousy that would come up, and there would be this like longing and wish and that I had have created a life like theirs, or, you know, they were so confident or whatever it was that I was perceiving. But never ever did I put myself in a situation where I followed people that actually I disagreed with, or that that made me cringy. Like, to me, that's super interesting. And also just, okay, this is another piece of the puzzle of, you have people like me, whether or not you want to refer to them as humanoids, that are humans with altered DNA, that are here for a specific intention and one agenda only, and they remember that. And then you also have the humanoids that are here for a different agenda. Now, they also have to remember, right? Because we come into a 3D density where we've been conditioned. So if we don't remember our agreements to either parties, then you're going to be an unconscious energy with an unconscious drive or an agenda. So somebody like this, that's trolling is the word I think we use. Someone who trolls, in my interpretation, could be a specific energy that has just not yet remembered their own agreements and intentions. And they're coming from a more unconscious space. I don't know much about the three Masons, to be honest. I actually so I have not read a lot about religions and belief systems and different parties and groups, and I haven't researched different scriptures or any of the more ancient knowledge. And the reason for this, that I understand now, I never got pulled or called to, is so that my mind hasn't been preconditioned by other information that's in this solid reality. So that the mind, the information that I'm bringing into the world, is not tainted by others or by what I have already received. So that I know within my heart that what I'm receiving hasn't been pulled from a textbook or from some belief system that I researched. So I can be very clear to say, well, I actually didn't know that. And what I've got is coming from here and from some higher guidance. Well, we've been manipulated for millions of years. So if you think about the origins of Earth, and the understanding that the mind has become more and more separate and more conditioned, this conditioning and the human condition has got this way over a long time. I will put this up on YouTube, this live, so anyone can rewatch or share with people that they think may resonate, people that are ready for a different perspective. I'm just checking over all the comments. I know I'm not alone, and I think this is the beautiful thing about technology. Well, actually, the interesting thing about technology is that through these avenues, I've connected with people that are here that remember their own agreements, and without technology, unless I got to a point of that much telepathic communication, which I know is possible, I wouldn't be able to connect and feel and have the support to the level. The way you can open your mind is definitely that way. You can travel and live in a small space. There's many ways to open the mind. There's no one way. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. Each individual is different. And it just takes the willingness to step outside of the box. Okay, so that was a good question, right? So if Google is the matrix, how do you learn the truth? This is why the comment, when you start to go down the path of awakening, you start to hear people say the truth is within. The truth is inside. And that is the core truth of it. But what I understand is that most humans that start to open their eyes need to seek outside of themselves in every direction and pick up pieces they resonate with and feel and guide, and they'll try this out and they'll try that out and they'll experience this, and then they come into their own understanding of what the truth is before they can even listen to the guidance that they have within. If we could shortcut that process, be good. But that is a lot of what is written in my book is understanding that it's pretty much continually, repetitively, in different ways, with different answers, with different questions, telling you that your mind will fuck you in a much more enlightened way, and that you can't trust your thoughts because you are not your thoughts, and that you can only feel the resonance of truth. Green. I'm not sure what that means. Beautiful. All right. What do I do for a living? Well, currently I'm writing a book. It's not actually bringing me any financial abundance just yet. But I am a energy worker, or I call myself an intuitive alchemist. I'm a conduit for source. I allow my physical vessel to create experiences for people to connect to God. I do that through different healings. I work with the Kundalini energy. I do massage. I do light language and soul song, which is a beautiful gift from the universe of channeling frequencies and vibrations that bypass the logical mind to activate your DNA and your cells and your remembering. And I'm a mindset coach. So I do the ethereal, or the energetics, and I do the mind, because the suffering that we have in our human condition is all around the thoughts and the programs and the stories that we have in our mind. So if we aren't living a life of ease and joy, then there's a story that is created that is got lies infiltrated into our mind and our thinking. And so, understanding your own mind's programs is important for healthy relationships, to live on purpose, to have beautiful friendships, to connect to your children. And that is a very big topic, and everyone's journey is different. I think like that comment around you could make me think or feel anything with that face, right? So I was talking to a beautiful friend yesterday, and he was like, he was being a bit tongue-in-cheek about how with my really fucking hot meat suit that I'd be able to control and manipulate the world from a different perspective in a much nicer way. But I found it really funny because I was like, now, did I choose this? Like, did I choose my physical vessel? Or was this something that God was like, yeah, we know how you're going to get a little bit more attention and you'll be able to get your message out to the world. We'll just make you super attractive. Which is so funny because I actually thought that I was not attractive at all for many, 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 many years. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. To me, it's just a physical vessel that I'm very grateful for because it's led me through my life and my human experience, and it's here to help me move through all of the life things. Yeah. So that piece about self-doubt when you receive information, it's really hard. It's really, really hard one for me, like yesterday as I was writing, the self-doubt of like, what if I'm just adding to further manipulation on the planet? What if I'm not even going to be teaching the truth? Like, that's something I don't want to do, right? I want people to, I don't want to further fuck people up. What if I'm being influenced? And what if my mind is completely mentally, and the fear, right? That's a story, that's a narrative, and that's my story and narrative that is manipulating my own mind. So it's like, well, that story is definitely not one that's conducive to my my internal well-being and my frequency and vibration. So how do I drop that story, feel back here, and come into what I know? And I was really grateful because I ended up having a last-minute client call me and ask if he could be fit in. And it was his initial consult, and the experience that was created for him to receive the energy of source and love and clarity made me go, oh, that's right. You really are here you're doing God's work. You are not. You don't have an agenda. It's okay. That's just your own conditioning and your mind and your own fear. Because, he got up off that table and he was like, I don't have any fucking words. Like, wow. And I get that all the time. When I physically put my hands on someone and I give them a remembering of what true love and source feels like, unconditional love and healing, that's so powerful, like so powerful, that people don't know how to actually express it to you. They don't have words for what you've facilitated for them to experience, because it's beyond words. It's beyond thought. It's only felt. And when you feel it, and you feel it and embody it, that's how you know the truth. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. If what I share resonates and you feel it as truth in your heart, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please support me on all my social medias. I would be very grateful. And share this if you feel called to share it, share it. I love you. Have a beautiful day.